Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us on Politics Tonight. The face-off between the Minister of FCT and former Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, and his successor, Governor Siminalayi Fubara, is showing no signs of abating. Time and time again, supporters from both Minister Nyesom Wike and Governor Fubara engage in mud-slinging and accusations. Now, while this political war is going on, the FCT and Rivers State, under the watch of both men, continue to lay in hope of the dividends of democracy. The big question tonight is, can this seeming political war be resolved? How can it be resolved? And what will it take? Tonight, let's get some perspective on this matter and the way out with Senator Magnus Abe, an APC chieftain and SDP governorship candidates in the 2023 election. Senator, thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Right. So I know that, consequently, you've consistently said that there must be peace in Rivers State. You've been advocating for peace, and you've also said that you're neither for nor against Minister Wike and Governor Fubara. Well, what exactly do you think is the bone of contention between both parties?
Well, personally, let me say this. The last time I spoke on this issue, and I said I will not speak again on it, after the president intervened and the parties reached an agreement, I came out publicly to commend them for the agreement they had reached. And I was very clear in what I said at the time, that the main issue with the president was able to bring the parties to an agreement on was the main thing that would have thrown them all apart. First, the House has agreed that they will not impeach the governor, and the governor in turn had agreed that he will recognize the House. I said so clearly at the time that having agreed on this fundamental point, the issue becomes that there must be accommodation. They must be able to reach a point where the governor and the House will be able to have some mutual understanding as to how they can operate together so that there will be peace. But if you haven't agreed that you will not impeach me, and I have agreed that you are the House, and then I continue to act as if you're not the House, and then you continue to act as if I don't, there will be no way forward. So I think that if the governor is able to take his mind back to how he became the governor, and then the members of the House of Assembly themselves understand their obligation to the state that is ahead of politics, I believe that they can be able to reach an agreement that will enable the state to move forward. So my appeal to everybody has always been the same, and I will not change that. They must be able to put Rivers State first and be able to act in a manner that will put conflict entrepreneurs to shame. Because anytime there is a disagreement of this nature, all kinds of people will now gather around one party, gather around the other party, and begin to stoke the fires of something they don't know about. I don't know what the fundamental cause of the dispute is, but I know that the governor himself has a clear idea of how he became the governor, and the members of the House of Assembly also have a clear idea of their obligation to Rivers State. I think that if the parties are able to reach an accommodation that will enable them to put those feelings above others, they can work out a situation where there can be some measure of progress. In the absence of that, I'm afraid that I really don't have any magic wand that can bring peace to the situation. And let me also say this. I see what is happening in the state as more of an internal crisis within the People's Democratic Party that has already led to a loss of several members of the party. And I think that it is more the responsibility of the party to try to look for that solution than anybody else. For me, and for us as members of the APC, anybody who comes to the APC, it should be our place to receive such people with open arms because they will only make the party stronger. So for the sake of Rivers State, we must all pray and advocate for peace, but that peace is not in the hand of anybody except the hands of the actors themselves. And clearly, like I said, if the advocacy of conflict entrepreneurs are put aside, the interest of the state is put in front, and clear ideas and memories as to how we got here are entertained and resolved, I think that there could be a way forward. But I really don't have any magic wand that can bring peace to this situation. That's why I have been reluctant to say more than what I said the last time, which is that agreement that the president was able to broker and the governor has accepted it, if it is followed in the spirit, not just in the letter, I think the entire state will benefit, and the governor himself will benefit because it will allow him the opportunity to actually deliver to the people of Rivers State. And a continuous atmosphere of crisis and contention cannot help but, pull the state backwards. And I don't think that is in anybody's interest at this time. So that would be my advice to the parties. His Excellency should remember how he got to that position. The members of the Assembly should understand that their obligation is to create a pathway for the state to move forward. In either way, there can be understanding that they can work out to enable the state to move forward. But I don't think that the present atmosphere will serve the overall interest of the state in the long term.
All right, Senator, but from what you've heard, from what you've seen, you're one of the political stakeholders from Rivers State. Would you categorically say that both parties have not adhered to the 8-point resolutions made last year, or one of the parties did not?
Well, if you say you want peace, you cannot sit down here, and I don't know the details and the intricacies of what is happening between them. But what I can say with some certainty is that if the spirit, in every agreement, there is a letter of the agreement, or there is a letter of the contract, or there is a letter of the law, and then there is a spirit of the law. You can adhere to the letter of the law, but you don't follow the spirit of the law. The spirit of the law is in the emotions and the actions and the little nuances that the parties need to be able to build confidence that will enable the agreement to work. And I think that looking at what is happening today in the state, I think there is still a lot of work to be done in trying to build on that spirit of the agreement. But I hope and I pray that since this fundamental agreement has been reached, and so far the parties are adhering to those fundamentals, I believe that all the other issues that may be in contention can be resolved. Although looking from outside where I am, I don't see that being resolved very, very quickly. But I would like to advise that in the spirit of that agreement, more work should be done to ensure that the agreement is adhered to, and we can build up peace in the state from there. I think everybody needs peace, and peace will help in the development of the state, which is what we all desire at the end of the day. That's what I would say. I think at this point, judgments will not really help anybody, because politics is always a game of interest. And both parties understood that from the beginning of their relationship. And I think that that relationship can be repaired if that spirit that enabled it to come forward can be revived. So that's what I would suggest or propose at this time.
All right,
I really
Senator,
can't make a judgment on it.
All right. At this point, let's quickly take a break, and when we come back, we will continue this conversation. Stay with Politics Tonight.
Lagos is the most visited state in Africa as the 5th largest economy on the continent. Covering the state and its government is no mean feat, it's a busy beat. We go beyond the curtain of tapes to travel in far into the deep.
I want to thank the Lagos State government for the healthcare facility.
To bring stories that cut across all spectrums.
A greater Lagos shall be ours.
We tell you stories that define our collective well-being as Lagosians. I'm Adedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Welcome back to Politics Tonight, everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us tonight. Our attention is on Rivers' political crisis and path to peace, and I've been speaking with Senator Magnus Abe, APC chieftain, SDP governorship candidate in the 2023 governorship election. Senator, thank you so much for staying with us on Politics Tonight.
Thank you.
Right. I mean, just like I said before we went on that break, you're one of the political stakeholders in Rivers State. It's a fact that your name carries so much weight in Rivers State. What kind of relationship do you have with both parties? Have you tried to speak with them on this particular issue?
Let me be very, very honest about this. You know, I have a relationship with the minister, which the whole of Nigeria knows about. And the governor is the governor of Rivers State. But I think that at this point in time, the truth must be told. If there is a schism and people have agreed to certain fundamentals, I don't think at this point it is all about the minister anymore. The House is the House of Assembly. They are the legislature. The governor is the executive. These two people have reached an agreement before the president that will not antagonize each other. I will recognize these people as the House, and we will not try to remove you as the governor. I think at this point, the fundamental thing is that in that recognition, there must be negotiation and understanding. If these people are the House, then you have to carry them along in the governance of the state in one way or the other, either through the back door or the front door, so that their own inputs and all that reflects in what you're doing, and they too will give that support to enable the government function. But what I think is the clear problem is that you have a dysfunction because you have a legislature and an executive that is clearly working at cross purposes. And I believe that's why I said that the understanding, the letter of the agreement is different from the spirit of the agreement. And there needs to be more effort by the parties. I mean, they've tried and they're trying. The initial tension in the state has subsided normally, which credit must be given to all the parties for that management of the situation. But I believe that to actually be able to restore effective governance to the state, some better accommodation needs to be reached, and I will urge the parties to make more efforts in that direction. It's not the sole responsibility of the minister who is here in Abuja, but the House of Assembly and the governor, both of them are in Port Harcourt, and they are the ones that are saddled with the responsibility of being able to put heads together to help the state move forward. I know it's difficult, but I believe that with some measure of sincerity on the part of all the parties, something can be done. And something needs to be done in the interest of the state. That's what I would say about that. I really don't want to spend too much time navigating a creek that's, I don't know the end of it. But I think that my own experience in politics has been that the time you need peace is when the problem is there. It's not when the problem has ended. It is now that the problem is there that people need to put their heads down and avoid a lot of the distractions, because there are always conflict entrepreneurs on both sides that will egg you on, go and fight, even when clearly the tools of war will not avail you. So in this kind of situation, having agreed to work together, it now behooves them to work together and accommodate each other's interests. I don't think it is too late to make that effort. Like I said, if the governor would remember how he became governor, and the members of the House of Assembly themselves will be conscious of their obligation to Rivers State and Rivers people, I believe that they can work out an atmosphere that will enable the government to function effectively. That's where I think they need to head. But like I said, it's an internal affair of theirs, and I really don't have any magic solution that will be able to solve it at this time.
Right, but Senator, when you say the governor needs to remember how he became governor, do you think all of this we're seeing in Rivers State are consequences of rewarding loyalty above competence, above integrity, honesty, and capacity?
You see, for me, I really don't want to how would I put it now? Time passes, and with time comes a wider vista. The reality of today is that Siminalayi Fubara is the governor of Rivers State. That's reality. And everybody in Rivers State knows that there were forces and powers that made that possible. Nobody can become governor by himself. People help you and support you and all that. And that always comes with some measure of expectation. So I believe that if those expectations are properly managed, there shouldn't be a war that is unending. And I know that the state is not the greatest beneficiary of this conflict. So when I say that, I'm not sitting in judgment over anybody or over any force. I'm just looking at the practical reality of the frame of mind that will enable people to think clearly in a manner that will achieve peace. Those are the kind of words that can bring out the kind of mind that would make peace possible. But if you discard that and begin to go fishing around issues that will not help in bringing the kind of situation that is desirable, I don't think that will help. So for me, the practical reality on the ground is that these are issues that need to be managed. And sometimes when these battles rage, by the time the parties realize that it serves no interest, it doesn't serve their own best interest, it is often too late. So I think that for the sake of the state and for the sake of Rivers people as a whole, a conflict of this kind at this time is not in the best interest of the state or the best interest of the governor or even the best interest of the House of Assembly or the minister or any of us. So if there is a resolution, it will help everybody. And that's why I said that you need to think back, because without looking at those surrounding circumstances, and to say the least, a lot of concessions and efforts have been made. The agreement that was reached with the president, if it is followed, as people didn't expect that it would even take off, but it has taken off. So I don't think that if there are crises on the way, we should now knock the whole thing down and forget it. No, I think we should encourage them to continue on that path of peace and continue to work towards it within the spirit of what they have already agreed and signed. We can't make a new agreement at this time. Yes, sir.
The question again is, are both men ready to embrace peace? That's the question. If the president had intervened and this is still happening, this is the biggest question. Are both men ready to embrace peace?
Well, like I said, at this point in time, there is a letter of the agreement what people need to now understand is that there's a spirit that will make the agreement work. I saw the other day some of the commissioners were redeployed and all that. I believe that the governor has the power to do so, but there are interests that were involved in that agreement that they should be there. And those interests should have been properly managed or negotiated so that it doesn't create further rancor. I think that at the end of the day, really, this thing is an individual thing, and people must be able to do what they think is necessary in order to help the state move forward. Sacrifices must be made. There are no two ways about it. Without those sacrifices, the peace will just not work. That's how I look at it. But like I said, everybody knows that in a situation like this, you as an outsider cannot be the one to provide the solutions that will work. All you can do is to advise and encourage, the thinking and the atmosphere that will make peace possible. I know that conflict of this kind will not serve anybody's long-term interest at the end of the day. I know that. And so that's why I've always insisted from the beginning that it will best serve the interest of the parties if people can cool down and take a deep breath and see if there's any way they can work out some understanding that will enable the peace agreement, which they have already voluntarily submitted to give the desired benefits to the people of the state. So that's just the advice that I have. I don't have any magic bullet that will immediately bring peace to the situation. I don't have any power to tell anybody what to do. I'm just a citizen and a stakeholder. But my advice would be that if people look around them properly, there can be even informal contacts that you can use to negotiate certain issues to reduce tension and enable you to deliver on your mandate to the people. I don't think that every option of negotiation or discussion should be thrown totally out of the window. I don't think so at all. I don't think that the path of war would help anybody at this time. That's just what I have to say on that.
Right. So before we go to the impact of this crisis on the people of Rivers State, from the hints we've gotten from both men, Minister Wike on one hand is battling to retain his political empire, while Governor Fubara is struggling to keep his mandate. From your experience as a politician, Governor Fubara is the governor of Rivers State. Is he the political leader of the state?
You see, that question is subjective in so many ways. Being a leader, he is the leader of the government of Rivers State because he's the executive governor of Rivers State. But when you say political leader, that is something that you have to work to earn. It's like, let me try to put it in context. When you say Malam Aminu Kano was the political leader of Kano, he was not the governor at the time. That kind of political leadership where everybody submits to you is something that you have to earn. You work for it. It doesn't come automatically with being the head of the government. But is he the governor of Rivers State? Yes, he is the governor of Rivers State. So nobody is disputing that. But to say he is the political leader of Rivers State, that is a much wider context of leadership. And it takes time to build that kind of confidence, followership, support, and trust. Leadership is all about trust. And sometimes how you navigate these difficult waters is what helps to bring you out as a leader when everybody now begins to trust you and can rely on the direction that you provide. But he is the governor of Rivers State, and it is his responsibility to work towards that leadership. But to say that he's a political leader of Rivers State, I think that that may be putting leadership in too wide a context. And it takes time to get there. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes relationship, it takes knowledge of the different terrains and issues. It takes bringing people together. You earn trust. That's how you get there. As a governor, you have the opportunity to build that, but it's not, I don't think it's automatically conferred by the office of being the governor. You can be the political leader of your party, you can be but to be the political leader of a state in that context, it takes a lot of effort, and there's still quite a lot to be done. That would be what I would say about that.
Right, so I asked that question because I wanted to take you up on the significance of former Governor Peter Odili's statement. He said politics is over, it's now time for governance. And some, interpreted this to mean that the former governor is endorsing Governor Fubara as the political leader of the state. What do you make of that statement?
You know, I didn't come here to be unduly political or unduly controversial. And the same question you're asking me is the same question I just answered. You just want to carry my head and jam with Dr. Odili's head. I was Commissioner for Information under Dr. Odili. Dr. Odili is my mentor, Maoga, so I won't come here to start challenging what he has said. He's entitled to his opinion. I'm just saying that for me, as Senator Abe, my own understanding of being the political leader, a political leader cuts across politics. It cuts across parties. It's something that you need time to build. Being a governor it's not automatic. It's something that you need time to build. You need to make friends. You need to create relationships. You need to build trust. You need to earn confidence. All those things take effort and it takes time. If you have a platform, you can work towards that. But I don't think that, it's automatic. He's the head of the government of Rivers State. That is not in doubt. He's the executive governor of our state. And we must give him the respect that his office deserves. But to be the political leader of Rivers State, it will take time to build that up. And I encourage him. Every politician who has that kind of aspiration is free to try, reach out, include, build confidence, settle problems. It takes time to get there, and he has a platform.
All right, Senator, for the purpose of clarity, I do not intend in any way make you want to make controversial statements or clash with your former boss. Like I said earlier, as a political stakeholder in Rivers State, these are just pertinent issues we want to have you make some submission on. But let's move on. I know you're an APC chieftain, but what would you have expected the PDP to do in solving this crisis? Or do you still think they have a window of resolving this matter?
Well, I'm not a member of the People's Democratic Party. I left the PDP a long time ago, and I'm one of the founding members of the All Progressives Congress. As you will remember, I was one of the 11 senators that defected to form the APC on the floor of the Nigerian Senate. So my history in recent times my own problems have all been within the APC. But what I would say is that challenges of this nature are not abnormal in politics. It takes leadership, it takes humility to be able to navigate them thoroughly and overcome them. But there are consequences where that fails, as every political party finds out ultimately. Before we left the PDP was the dominant political force in Nigeria. But the inability of the leadership of the PDP at that time to manage the crisis within the party as it related to the 7 governors at that time, it ended the reign of the PDP. So in Rivers State, we as the APC, we've had our fair share of issues. Rivers State traditionally has been a PDP state. And when we left the PDP and started the APC in Rivers State, even united as we were, it was a difficult nut to crack. But as you know, in the last election, the APC won Rivers State. Why? Because of these same kind of internal divisions. So there are consequences for any party that fails to be able to overcome these kind of challenges, as history has shown. So I don't think that the PDP needs anybody to advise them on how to put their house in order. If they fail to do that, of course, there'll be consequences. But for me, what I would say is that my interest at this point in time is about Rivers State and Rivers people and the opportunities that we have. Today, we have a governor who is our governor in the state. We have a minister who is the minister of the Federal Capital Territory. That's a very powerful position from which the state can benefit if the relationship were smoothened and things were working properly in the manner in which they could work. So the state will lose out ultimately if some of these things are not made right. That's the angle in which I would show concern. But to put it properly in context, I think it is more a matter for the PDP than for myself or anybody else. But as a Rivers person, I think it's just important that we point out some of these challenges and nuances on these issues.
Right. So, I mean, you would agree with me that this is not the first time Rivers State will be having a predecessor political squabble. But in what ways do you think this trend has significantly impacted critical developments in that state? I ask because, I mean, Rivers State is as rich and blessed as Lagos. And there are many who have said that state should be at par with Lagos, but reverse is the case.
Well, you are right, but you're not entirely right. This is the first time in the history of Rivers State that an outgoing governor was able to successfully install his own successor. Dr. Dele had issues with Amechi, and it was clear that even though he nominated him, he didn't see him through to the process that put him in the executive governor's office. And so that was what caused their separation. In the case of Amechi and Wike, Amechi had no hand in how Wike became governor. So you're right that we've always had issues between the outgoing governor and his successor, but we've never had a situation where any outgoing governor successfully installed a successor. This is the first time that is happening. So if people didn't expect that normal contention will continue, it was because of the peculiar circumstances of this particular succession. And it is just unfortunate that we are back to, well, I won't say we are back to square one because we're not there yet. I still think that there's still the hope and possibility that this can be resolved.
But how can this crisis between governors and their successors be checked?
You know, Nigeria is a very, 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 very difficult country. And our politics is still evolving. I think the challenge to some of these things lie in our electoral process and in the character of our political parties. Are the parties really independent? It doesn't appear that way. I believe that if we are able to clean up the electoral process, and we are gradually heading in that direction, if we clean up the electoral process, it will force the parties to behave better. And if the parties behave better, with better internal democracy, better internal dynamics, more respect for the rule of law and for the internal rules of the party itself, I believe that people's conduct will change over time. But looking at the country it is now, I don't believe that that is going to happen overnight. But Nigeria is changing. Like I said to everybody, one of the main reasons why I came out early to support Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu to be president of Nigeria is because I understood that at the end of the day, the economics has a lot to do with how the politics is driven. If we don't have a president that understands numbers, that can build prosperity among the citizens, it will be very difficult to have the kind politics that we need, because if people are not economically independent or capable of survival outside of politics, it's very difficult to expect them to form the kind of character that will form the backbone of the kind of political parties that can drive the political changes that we need in the country. So I believe that by pressing the economic reset button, the way the president has done, is also contributing to the re-engineering of the political dynamics of this country. And as people become more prosperous, which I believe they will be, then they will be more independent, and then, you know, the electoral space will be better patrolled, and we can make better progress in some of these situations. But I don't see that happening immediately.
Right, but Senator, apart from respect for the rule of law, in what other ways can we enhance our electoral process in Nigeria?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Apart from respect for the rule of law, we're talking about enhancing our electoral process. Apart from respect for the rule of law, in what other ways can we enhance our electoral process in Nigeria?
You know, every time I say this, people always seem surprised. But I believe that we are actually making very good progress in this country as far as the political evolution of Nigeria is concerned. It may not look like it, but our elections, our electoral process is actually getting cleaner. And the political rules and the laws in this country and the processes are as good as what you will find in many places. The reason why our own rules and laws and all that are implemented more in the breach is, like I said, because a lot of our citizens, not only are they not properly educated, but they are also not economically empowered enough to be able to hold their ground. So I believe that as the economy improves and citizens become more economically independent, it will be easier for them to be able to contribute their own quota as citizens. Elections are not done by one person. No one person can manipulate an election. There are thousands of police officers that are involved. There are thousands of INEC staff that are involved. There are thousands of ordinary citizens, voters, ad hoc voters, millions of them that are involved. But if all these people wake up in the morning and all they are looking for as they go out to participate in the process is just how to get a penny here and get a penny there, the process will be hopelessly compromised, no matter what kind of rules that we have. So I think that one of the main things we need to do in this country is to invest more in our citizens. Let's train them. Let's train even our children from childhood. Let's train them. Let them have some values. Let them have some confidence in what the society offers, so that by the time they get to the point where they are participating in all these processes, they know right from wrong and they can stand for right against wrong. And they will not be alone when they try to stand for what is right. Because if you go to a place, 500 people are trying to do the wrong thing, only you say you must do it this way. Of course, you know you're a hopeless minority. You'll be overwhelmed. But if we invest in the training of our citizens, in their education, in their well-being, that training, that quality of human beings that we are breeding and preparing will reflect in the overall quality of our country. That's one thing I think we fail to take note of. It's not one person, it's not one law, it's not one rule that will change Nigeria. It's the bulk of Nigerians coming together to think differently, act differently, see things differently, pursuing common goals that will bring about the kind of society that we all desire. And that will take some effort from all of us.
Right, interesting. Now, Senator, let's talk about you as we wrap up tonight. You've returned to the All Progressives Congress. I'd like to know, why did you leave the Social Democratic Party?
You know, funny enough, you know, the day I left for the Social Democratic Party, I was actually here in TVC. And I said it publicly at the time that I would go to the SDP, but I will continue to support President Tinubu. And the anchor was asking me, how are you going to do that when you're in another party? And I told him that I would do it. It was here in TVC that I said that before I left for the SDP. So even in my negotiation with the SDP at the time, I was very clear as to the point that my own thought for the future of Nigeria was that Tinubu was the one who could bring about the desired change that we could have in the country. And the SDP leadership, thankfully to them till today, accommodated me with that condition. Now, why did I leave? After the elections and the dynamics of what is happening in the country, it became clear to me that there may be some alignments or realignments within the political space. And like I told you from the beginning, as a founding member of the APC, my preferred candidate is now the president of Nigeria. It makes no sense for me to remain in the SDP, which may become an opposition to the president. Anyway, whether that or not, I felt that the best place from which I could continue to offer support and participate in the politics the way I've always wanted to do is from the APC, and that is why I headed back to the APC.
All right. Right. So, I mean, it's almost a year since President Bola Tinubu became president. How would you assess his administration so far?
Well, let me say this, and this is a very, very touchy subject for a lot of people. I am a husband to one wife. I'm a father to several children, both biological, political, extended, etc. I am a friend to thousands of people across the length and breadth of this country. I'm a brother to several friends who have become more than blood brothers to me over the years. So whatever people feel, whatever any other man in Nigeria is feeling in those capacities, as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a brother, as a son, I'm also feeling it. So I know what the situation looks like to a lot of people. But I have something to say to Nigerians. You know, I said from the beginning that Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu is the only politician I know that talks to the numbers in this country. And the steps that he has taken economically, these are all things that Nigerians, all of us, at least the elites who understand the dynamics of economics and the social economy of the country, have held from the beginning are things that we needed to do in order to reset the economy of our country and create prosperity in this land. We've all been very clear that the fuel subsidy was not sustainable. We've also been very clear that without building a strong economy, you cannot continue to sustain the value of the naira simply by intervention and by printing money to finance the budget. We've always said, all of us have always agreed on that. What I hear some people say, oh, the way he did it, he shouldn't have done it that way and all that. But all the while we have all agreed on it, nobody had been able to do it any other way. So the argument that there is a better way of achieving the same things that he's trying to achieve is faulted by the fact that all these years that we all agreed that these things should be done, nobody could find that better way to do it until Tinubu came and was able to do it. Having done that, we all know that this cannot be done without pain. That's why I made the point that as a father, as a friend, as a husband, as a son, I know that it is not easy for Nigerians right now. But I want to assure our people that things will definitely get better. All we have to do is to take advantage of the many opportunities that are opening up in the economy. Everywhere you go, every day I open the news, I listen to, there is always some effort or the other that the government is making to offer Nigerians more opportunities for their own individual prosperity. I'm not talking about palliatives and all that. I don't believe in it. But Every day, now there's an infrastructure fund. There's a consumer credit thing. There is something in agriculture. Every day, the government is making some effort or the other to open opportunities for the Nigerian people. And when I look at people, like I say to people, I don't listen to what anybody is saying. I watch what people are doing. I knew that the Naira was going to improve. How did I know that? Because I know that the CBN under Cardoso is not involved in trying to demarket the Naira to make money for themselves within the system at the expense of the rest of us. Once you remove all those kind of things, the economy will definitely make progress. And all we have to do is to work together to achieve that progress. It will come.
Right. Thank you so much, Senator Magnus Abe, APC Chieftain, SDP governorship candidate in the 2023 election. Thank you so much for your insights on Rivers' political crisis and path to peace. Thank you so much. I look forward to more conversations with you. Thank you for joining us this evening. And thank you very much for watching. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at midnight. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke WO using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com.